I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in recent years is that I had underestimated how many people will take advantage and find a way to literally like rip people off, or they'll exploit a movement in order to enrich themselves. And this is, I think, a perfect example of that.
Anna Kasparian is back once again, exposing and destroying the woke cult and the woke left. This story is absolutely insane that she goes into in this video, and she absolutely tears it apart. But the story itself is insane. Her reaction is just as surprising though, because she once again goes in on this tirade against the woke left. Let's get into this clip here from the Young Turks, where Anna Kasparian just destroys and breaks down this BLM scam, this nonprofit scam that BLM people associated with BLM are going into and committing these outrageous lies. Let's check this out.
In 2007, I lost him. He was shot and killed by Oklahoma Police Department. I lost my lifetime partner and my best friend to police violence during a routine traffic stop. The loss of his love and the loss of his life catapulted me into this work.
The man you just heard from is Brandon D. Anderson. In 2017, he said he had a plan to hold law enforcement accountable and reduce the need for policing in America. But it turns out that he was actually scamming his own nonprofit, which he formed for this mission, and screwing over his fellow advocates to finance a lavish lifestyle. So Anderson is the leader of Rahim AI, which he started because his fiance had allegedly been killed by an abusive cop, as you just heard from the video we showed you. Now, here is where we run into the first pretty big problem. The New York Times found no evidence of the killing that Mr. Anderson has described. No homicide in the entire state of Oklahoma involved a man named Rahim, nor did any match the particulars of the officer-involved death Mr. Anderson had described.
Yeah.
I wish the people he was working with, the actual advocates, were aware of that before they decided to dedicate their time and their energy to this nonprofit. But they didn't, and they did get screwed over. And what I think is also interesting about this story is like the internal debate about whether or not to let the authorities know about it, to which I say, of course you should, of course you should, but we'll get to that later.
No, the part about, they want to abolish police, but then he rips them off. And they don't know what to do. That's honestly hilarious.
Yeah, go to the police.
Yeah,
let them know.
And so we'll get to it in a second. But look, guys.
How many more cases like this do we have to see before we find out that a lot of these situations are hoaxes? And I might even say most of these situations are hoaxes. And the ones that aren't hoaxes, the ones that actually do happen, a lot of the time are completely overblown to push a political narrative or possibly to fund somebody's lavish lifestyle, like Anna Kasparian is saying. A lot of these situations, you talk about the Jussie Smollett stuff, you talk about all the BLM stuff that happened, stuff like this. A lot of them are hoaxes, a lot of them are overblown and just made out to be this large event that it never really was. Like a lot of the time, whenever you do actual research into the situation, I'm not going to name specific names, but you guys know the big cases of stuff like this happening. A lot of the time, the people who were made out to be the victims actually were the aggressors in the situation. And I'm not going to say that they deserved it. I don't know if anybody, I guess some people do deserve to die, but I don't want to say that anybody deserved, without knowing exactly who I'm talking about, a specific situation, to get murdered or to get killed. But a lot of times they don't completely not deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not completely out of the realm of understanding for us to figure out how they came to the conclusion, oh, I need to shoot this person or injure this person in whatever way. A lot of time, whenever you do research into these things, you're like, oh, that's not what I was told at all. And this is another one of those situations. Like, how many do we have to see before people like Cenk and before people like Anna Kasparian just kind of come to the conclusion of, oh, a lot of these things are complete hoaxes, and I should research more and find out, and they will come to the conclusion that, yeah, actually most of these are hoaxes, and it's all to push a political narrative or to just make money off of GoFundMe accounts and stuff like that.
Things like this are sorry, but they're the worst. And so, like, you pretending that you had someone that was near and dear to you and that whole emotional BS that you just did and when you made it up, it's gross, man. It's super gross. But there's two other things about it that really piss me off. Number one, when people actually care about movements, right? Police reform, fighting against sexism, racism, et cetera, all those things. False charges or false stories like this make people much more reluctant to help, especially when it's the leader of a group that's taking money. Then people go, I don't know what's a scam and what's not a scam. Well, I guess I'm not gonna give. And that is horrible, all for your own personal gain. It's unbelievable. And
it's not actually that horrible. It's pretty simple, actually. Stop donating to social justice campaigns. If somebody is fundraising based on a social justice issue, stop donating. When you see somebody's kid has cancer, donate to that cause instead. It's pretty simple. Stop donating to women who Me Too men. Stop donating to people who claim that their boyfriends or fiancés, whatever the hell, got killed due to police violence or whatever, police abuse, whatever words he actually said. Stop donating to social justice GoFundMe campaigns and stuff, and start donating to actual causes. Start donating to reputable charities. You know, I like to, whatever. I'm not gonna go into who I donate to, but I would recommend that you donate to actual reputable charities that you know. Maybe you've had experience with some. You know, maybe you adopted a dog from a certain shelter and you want to donate money to that shelter to make sure that those dogs at the shelter have good lives. Maybe you had experience with somebody in your family or something, went through St. Jude and, you know, they had a child that got sick and St. Jude took care of them really well. And you want to make sure other kids have those same experiences. Donate to those causes instead of donating to dumbass social justice causes. Donate to stuff that actually matters. It's pretty simple.
And another part of it, guys, is that it poisons the well for everything. So now everybody thinks that everything's a grift because there's so many grifts, right? And a grift like this in such a spectacular way, then it makes people go, oh, you're doing something that you are saying that is gonna help people? Oh, it must be a grift.
But look, I agree with you. They do a lot of damage overall. However, I think that a lot of people, myself included, felt super energized and wanted to change things after what happened in 2020, right? And a lot of nonprofits started receiving this massive influx of like grants, donations, a lot of cash. And
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in recent years is that I had underestimated how many people will take advantage and find a way to literally like rip people off, or they'll exploit a movement in order to enrich themselves. And this is, I think, a perfect example of that. And so it might actually, in the future, convince people maybe I need to do a little more vetting before I get.
Yeah, Anna must have never played RuneScape, huh? Any RuneScape fans out there, you guys know from a young age I was taught everybody's scamming. Anybody who's trying to do a favor for you or trying to make the world a better place, you got to be skeptical of them. They're probably scamming. They're probably going to scam you in some sort of way. And I don't know. I don't know how old Anna is. She's probably like 40 or near it. Shocks me that she didn't know in 2020 that a lot of these, I don't even believe that she didn't know, to be honest. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she's telling the truth. I think most people knew that BLM and these other organizations are ripping people off. They're, you know, it's not complete hoaxes. Obviously, things did happen. Like the George Floyd thing did happen. Did it happen in the way that they claimed it happened? That's debatable. Very, very debatable. But it did obviously happen. So it's not a complete hoax. But the way that they spin it, anybody who's trying to profit off of something like that, you gotta think what agenda do they have? What motives do they have to be pushing these narratives? And I mean, it all came to light. We all saw what happened with all the BLM situation. It was all that money was used to fund mansions and stuff like that, and yet they still continue to donate to this social justice nonsense. I can't believe even in 2020, Anna Kasparian didn't know that these people were lying and just trying to make money off of this situation. It was so obvious. It was so obvious. How did she not know? It blows my mind.
Get involved with this nonprofit, because you hear nonprofit and you just assume, oh, well, they want to do good work. It's a nonprofit. But don't get it twisted. There's a lot of shady nonprofits out there where the people running the nonprofit are really just looking to enrich themselves. Just take a look at their salaries compared to what they're spending on the actual mission that they purport to care about.
It reminds me a little bit of the Trump charity, where it was fake charity. He bought pictures of himself. He bought like things that he likes, memorabilia and stuff. Bought 2 different portraits of himself that were gigantic with money that people gave thinking that it was going to go to cancer and helping minority kids, et cetera. He had to pay a $25 million fine. I mean, these grifters like Donald Trump and Brandon Anderson are just ruin it for everyone involved.
They do, and I do.
Of course, you have to throw Donald Trump in there when Donald Trump has literally nothing to do with the situation at all. Like, there's nothing to do with Donald Trump in here, but he's like, hold on, guys, we're trashing the left too much. Anna Kasparian is coming at the left too much. The Young Turks audience is about to get really mad at this one. So let me just throw in a Donald Trump mention here and say that he's a grifter so that our fans don't get too mad at us. Like, come on, man. It's so obvious what they're doing, dude. They just can't help themselves. Their TDS is so strong.
Feel really bad for, again, the individuals who spent their time and their energy working for this nonprofit, and then later they find that their resources were being squandered on this guy's lavish lifestyle. So nonetheless, like, allegedly in honor of his fiance, Brandon, he founded this company, right? This nonprofit, Rahim AI. And here he is describing what the original goal was.
Rahim means compassion. And that's exactly what we think it's going to take to build a world free of police violence. We do this by building a Facebook Messenger bot that lets you report on your interactions with police. We then publish that data in real time to a public dashboard that's accessible by you and by the police. Our hope is that police departments will use this information as a means of designing interventions that speak to the specific concerns of their community.
So this nonprofit was relatively small, basically taking in about $4.4 million throughout the nonprofit's lifetime, but it did receive this influx of cash in 2020, as a lot of nonprofits did for obvious reasons. And he claimed that this whole thing that he wanted to push for was a complaint system about cops, basically Yelp for police, but it didn't work because of some significant tech issues. So the entire premise of the group was kind of failing, but the organization still had money that Anderson had access to. So guess what he decided to do with it? Go on a shopping spree. So let's get to those details. It is amazing what people
kind of based, honestly. He took money out of these dumbass social justice warriors' pockets, put it into nice cars, nice houses. Kind of based, if you think about it. Let me know in the comments what you think about what Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur had to say about this absolutely crazy story about how so many people got scammed and so many people got duped into funding this guy's AI system and a non-profit organization. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, and Cenk Uygur versus this woke lunatic in the comments.